Welcome back. In this module, we'll be talking about editing and adding to your categories in Google My Business. Now, it's important to point out that categories are crucial, particularly when you want to show up in searches that are the most important ones to your business. Google uses the categories you select as a prime indicator of which searches you are relevant to. We touched on the categories in the section on setting up a new listing, but it's always a pretty good idea to go back, take a look at your categories, revisit them, see if you can improve the selection. Now, as I mentioned, they're one of those key variables that determine what sort of searchers see your listing. And the interesting thing is Google will change their categories that are available to you from time to time, so that's why you need to take a look. So let's talk a little bit about how to edit your categories. We discussed choosing a category when you set it up, your listing, and I said, well, you can always come back later and add more categories. Now, the categories will appear under your business name. So here we are again back at the info tab of the Google My Business dashboard. And if you click on the little pencil icon next to whatever category you've selected right underneath your business name, it'll give you this category selection box, and then you will be able to select which category your business applies to. You can also select other categories as secondary categories to your business, and you choose the add another category choice in order to do that. And in this case, a number of categories we've selected already show up, and then you can always click at the bottom to add another category. So here, the key thing here is not so much the editing, it's in the finding the best category. And the thing that limits you is you have to choose from Google's own categories. As you start to type your listing, you're going to see possible matches from Google's database. In this case, I've started out with the word marketing, and then Google will give me potential matches. Now, I prefer using a resource put out by a private company, and it's in the form of a Google Sheet. And here's a link that will take you to this shared document. I'm going to jump over and actually do more of a hands-on demo here. I'm first going to take a look at the traditional way to do this, which is what we were just discussing. So here we can see the primary category is just the one that appears first in our category list. And I'll click on the pencil icon. Now let's say I wanted to change this, and in the screen capture you can see I typed in the word marketing, so we'll do that again. Once I have that, I have marketing agency, marketing consultant. Both of those things would apply to us, and we've already selected those as secondary categories, but Google sometimes will go far afield. I don't know where they get car detailing service or metalworking shop for this particular choice. We've also got a wrestling school. So sometimes there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of rationale to the choices that Google offers you. Now you can do this, it's just you have to keep going back and forth and trying different things. Like for example, I could try advertising, or I could try internet, and then it'll give me other choices. That can get to be a little tedious after a while. So here's the resource that I showed you. It's created by a place called Pixel Cut Labs. I don't know who they are. I think they are an agency, but I'm grateful to them for having this resource up and online. And it's basically a huge spreadsheet. All right, and it'll give you the category name, and then it'll give you the category ID according to Google. In this case, usually the way I will try to use this resource is I'll do a find on page. And of course, the way you do that is with Control F. Once I do a Control F, up here at the top, you'll see a search bar basically that says Find in Sheet. So now let me do the same thing that I had done before. I'm going to type in the word marketing. Now, when you do it this way, Google won't try to give you things like wrestler schools, because it'll only match any categories that have the word marketing in them. And once you type the word in, then Google Sheets will basically highlight any cell that has that description. So as I look down here, I can see, and I can also use the arrows here to go to the next, and go to the next category, marketing agency, marketing consultant, and so on and so forth. Here's a telemarketing service. This gives me kind of a better overview The other tool that I have available when I'm looking at the categories in this sheet is something called filtering. So if I go up here and choose data and then filter right here and say create a new temporary filter view, then what we can do is we can go over here to the three little arrows, and I can say, okay, I'm going to clear all these check marks. Right now everything is checked because everything is being shown. I'm going to clear those. Now let's type in the word marketing. So there I can see, okay, those are my various choices. I can select all of them and say, okay. And those are my choices. But then I can add to that filter as well. Let me click on it again. And now let me put in advertising and select those. Click OK. All right, now I'm starting to build a smaller sheet that has the various choices that I might want to look at. And then each of these, if I want to add them in, like let's say, for example, I wanted to do direct mail advertising, I can go back to my categories here. I could click to add another category, type in direct mail advertising, and it'll be found in Google's list. So I find that to be kind of a couple of different ways to look for a category, the categories that are most appropriate to you. Now, the one thing that Google warns against is don't put a bunch of categories here that are not related to your business. All that will do is dilute your listing and make it harder for Google to get a good bead on who your ideal customer is. So don't go crazy with this, but do find everything that's appropriate to your business and plug it in. And in the next module, we'll talk a little bit more about your business location, the address, and so I'll see you in the next module.